Do you know that feeling when you're on vacation and you're kind of pressuring yourself to start doing something because you feel like you're kind of late? It's so absurd, but like I find myself feeling guilty for going to the beach late, for example, because I slept in, and then I'm thinking, oh, I should be relaxing already, but I should be relaxing at the beach. When actually, shouldn't sleeping in and having an amazing breakfast on the balcony and having a slow morning, shouldn't that be like the most relaxing thing ever? And I thought about this a lot on my 1-week trip to Corfu. And then at one point I realized that what I was missing was to allow myself to do whatever I want to do in that moment and indulge in that moment without guilt. Because I'm on vacation, who else is gonna tell me what to do on my vacation if not me? And there's actually a German word for exactly this, gönnen. Hello, if you're new here, my name is Maxi, this is Diego, and this channel is about actually letting yourself enjoy the small things in life. So Corfu, my friend Flo and I, we've known each other for 11 and a half years. That sounds insane saying that out loud, it's such a long time. But we went on a trip last year to Menorca. So almost a whole year had passed since then, and obviously we had a lot to catch up on. She was gonna come visit me here in Barcelona a couple of days before the trip anyway, so we looked at flights directly from here, and a Corfu flight popped up on exactly the day that we had planned to leave. So we looked at some pictures of the island, we looked at some pictures of Greek food that we're both huge fans of, and then we said, okay, let's just do it. So, the first morning in Corfu, and I remember it very clearly. I was sitting on the balcony with my coffee, and already in that moment, I'm thinking, okay, what are we doing today? When are we heading out? Are we late? It was 10 a.m. We had no plan. That was the plan. A full beach day, nothing on the agenda, nowhere where we had to be. And I'm sitting there with this specific kind of restlessness. Like the day is already being wasted and I haven't done anything with it yet and I'm late. And I know this about myself. I do this all the time. I'll be in the middle of something genuinely enjoyable and there's already this little voice in my head thinking about the next thing. What else should I be doing? Am I making the most out of this? You would think vacation would be the one place where that voice might shut up, but I think actually I just packed it. I packed it along with my sunscreen, with my books, and with everything else that I brought. I didn't even have a proper list. I had one restaurant saved on my map that a work colleague recommended to me, and that was it. But I still had this thing where I didn't want to miss out on something, even if I didn't really know what that something was. Then we finally get to the beach. We'd slept in, we had a long breakfast, we had taken our time. All things that are objectively exactly what a vacation is for, right? And I still feel this little pinch of guilt, like we'd arrived late to a beach day with no plans. That's kind of a little bit crazy, isn't it? And at some point that afternoon, I'm lying on the beach, book in my hands, sun on my face, the ocean in my ears. The ocean, it's not even an ocean. The sea in my ears. And I have this thought, okay, now I'm relaxing. Like I'd finally arrived somewhere. I heard myself think that. And then immediately after that, I thought, wait, what was this morning then? Sleeping in, coffee on the balcony, long breakfast, talking with Flo, no rush. What was that? I think I just kept feeling like I needed to relax more. I needed to relax somewhere more specific. Like where I was and what I was doing wasn't quite the right place to actually just let go. And then I kind of remembered, oh yeah, I'm doing that thing again. So I told Flo, and she actually knew exactly what I meant. And we just looked at each other and we said, you know what? Wir gönnen uns jetzt einfach genau, worauf wir Bock haben. Which kind of translates to, we're just gonna treat ourselves exactly to what we feel like. gönnen doesn't really translate into English. I think the closest thing is maybe treat yourself, but that's not quite it either. Because gönnen isn't only about treating yourself to something special, but it's also the complete absence of guilt about whatever you're doing. So guilt about the time, the money, the effort spent, or like what anyone else might think. All of it is gone. You're not justifying it, you're not keeping score, you're just fully in it, indulging in the moment. And I think something shifted because I stopped waiting to arrive somewhere better. I think I just let things happen and flow, and I let myself be guided by what actually felt good in that moment. And whatever I was doing, that was enough, because it was my vacation and no one gets to tell me how to have it. Kokos, geil.
Gokos, geil.
Gokos. Und das? Kinder Bueno immer geil.
Bisschen süß.
Ich glaube mit Zucker nehmen sein. Okay, dann doch hier. Scheiße. Geil, Alter. Was ist das für ein Monster-Sandwich?
Ja, jo. Salz nimmst. Ich nehme immer den in Öl.
Mhm.
Genau. Habe ich den Kind?
Du hast den Schlüssel, oder? Ich habe den Schlüssel, ja. Okay, dann gehen wir jetzt wohl. Ja.
Wir gehen rein.
Wir gehen raus.
Super.
I finished my first book pretty quickly because I didn't really have much left. I think there was like 80, 70 pages left. It was called Up at the Villa by Somerset Maugham. I'm not sure how to pronounce this. And then after that, I started The Full Moon Coffee Shop, which is by the Japanese author Mai Mochizuki. And this one really caught my eye when I first saw it because I really love the cover art. It's so cute. And on the back, it described how it's this Japanese magical realism novel about talking cats and a coffee shop that appears under the full moon. I'm a huge fan of Japanese culture anyway, and I also really love stories about strange mythical things happening, so I knew right away I had to pick this one up. I want to talk about reading for a second because, fun fact, I hadn't read for about 15 years. Sounds absolutely crazy, but genuinely 15 years. Maybe one book somewhere in there, but nothing that actually counts as actively reading. And when I moved to Barcelona 2 years ago, I started this whole new chapter in my life, and I started paying attention to the things that actually make me feel good and also the person that I want to be. So maybe also a tiny little bit of romanticizing being someone who reads on the train and who is just a bookworm. And so I rediscovered reading for myself, and I was like, yes, actually, I used to love this, and I still love this. There's this thing that happens to you when you're really, really in a book where the world that you're reading about is kind of partly on the pages, of course, but also partly in your head. And a huge part of it, you're actually building yourself. So you're not just consuming someone else's story like when you're watching a movie, you're actually creating part of it yourself. You dive really deep into the complexity of that world, and all of a sudden you stop being at the beach and you stop being in Corfu, and you're just only in the book. You're thinking about the characters and the place that they're in and the feelings that they feel, and you're wondering what happens next to them. And everything around you is just completely gone for a moment. What I love so much about that is that this total immersion in something invented, something that you're partly also inventing, requires something creative from you. It requires your imagination and your attention, and in a way, it's like a creative outlet. And then in return, the book sucks you into a completely different universe. I guess that's also its own kind of gönnen, because you're fully enjoying that immersion and giving yourself permission to disappear for a while, to leave your physical body where it is, and to just be completely in the book. There was one evening when we didn't have dinner at like 10 p.m. for once, so we actually had a bit of time to do something with it. We decided to go down to the rocks by the sea to watch the sunset, and also to gönn ourselves maybe a little glass of sparkling wine. And we just talked about a lot of things, specifically about the crazy stuff that had happened between our trip last year and that moment, and what we've both been through. I think there's something about being far away from your routine, from your day-to-day life, and from the places physically that you're usually in, that makes it easier to look at your whole life from the outside. Like you need some kind of distance to actually see it clearly. And we talked about resilience, that the recent things that were hard and that taught us lessons have actually shown us that we're two really resilient people, and that's something to be proud of. And it also builds trust in yourself. And then we had a little toast to that, to resilience, to where we are now, both in our lives and also quite literally in that very moment, sitting on the rocks, watching the sun go down over Corfu. I think it was a really valuable moment for both of us because it let us actually feel really good about our own story, not thinking about what comes next, just sitting there for a second, just the two of us, and realizing, you know what, we're actually doing pretty all right. It was a really peaceful evening. The quiet before the storm, quite literally, as it turns out. So it was our last day, unfortunately, and the weather wasn't really great. It was kind of gray. It was even drizzling a little bit. We had this idea already to rent a boat just for ourselves. And because the weather wasn't so great, we figured, okay, maybe it's not the worst day to rent this boat today, because otherwise the days had been really, really hot and really sunny, and we would have probably gotten super sunburned on the boat. So we thought, okay, maybe this gray day is not the worst idea to rent the boat. So we went to this boat rental that we had seen along the way already, and we asked them for a boat, and they gave us a hard no. Today, we're not renting any boats because of the weather, and also they were expecting wind. It was kind of disappointing, honestly, because we didn't really know what else to do with this day, because we couldn't really resort to going to the beach because the weather wasn't great. So we thought it was gonna be kind of like a wasted day. We were gonna sit somewhere, have a coffee all day, I don't know. But then I had the idea to check with ChatGPT if all rental places had the same policies. Like in these kind of weather conditions, we can't give people boats. And ChatGPT said no, they might not have the same policies. So we were like, okay, you know what? Let's just look for a different one, try our luck, let's see what they say. Surprisingly, the second place said yes, no questions asked, and they gave us a boat. Neither of us had a license, which is totally allowed. It's not illegal or anything, but it was our first time ever actually driving. Is it driving? Do you say driving a boat? I don't know. Riding a boat? No, it wasn't my first time riding a boat, but it was my first time driving one. They gave us a quick briefing. They swapped our boat actually because the first one, the reverse was kind of not working. So they gave us a little bit of a bigger one, and they left us there and we took off into the sea. The first couple hours were perfect. We were cruising around. It was super, super fun. We found a really quiet, nice spot and we just cut the engine. The weather had actually improved a lot. The sky cleared up and the sun was shining. We were just drifting along, eating our snacks, listening to music. We were completely unbothered. It was so, so chill. Exactly what we had come for.
Ey, das ist übel refreshing.
Ah, das glaube ich. Ah, da liegt sie wie ein Seestern. Okay, ist schon ein bisschen geil.
See.
Ist schon geil. Okay. Ich kann das nicht. Okay, aber ich habe mich jetzt erfrischt. Ist doch okay. So at some point, I thought it would be nice to get a little coffee, and the rental guy had mentioned the panorama bar along the coast. I kind of thought it would be a fun experience to dock the boat, parking a car and then getting off and getting something and going back to the boat and taking off again. I don't know, I thought that was just a fun idea. I actually got off and I got us some homemade chocolate ice cream from the bar that I can actually really, really recommend. And also a coffee for myself. I took some pictures of the place. It was really beautiful. I was super pleased. And in the meantime, Flo had already texted me, come back, the wind is picking up, kind of like in a joking way. I got back, we left with like half melted ice cream because it was melting like crazy. And then the waves started. A bit choppy, a bit windy, became something else. We had waves, oh my god, up to like, I swear it was like up to like 2 meters. So I threw the empty ice cream cups away. I held on for my life. Flo was driving the boat, and she was saying that from canoeing, she kind of remembered that you had to go against the waves instead of like in a 90-degree angle, because that's kind of dangerous. But that also meant that we were going further and further and further out to the sea. And oh my god, it was so scary. We got so wet, the water was splashing everywhere. Our stuff was flying around. One wave, oh my god, I remember that one wave, it almost broke in open water, and we looked at each other and screamed, and we were so scared. Oh my god. But also, being the people that we are, we were dying laughing. I was almost peeing my pants. Oh my god, it was so funny. So for 45 minutes, we were fighting the forces of nature, and we were soaking wet. And Flo actually was like, wait, do you think the rental guys actually checked on us? Because they must know about the weather conditions. So she checks her phone, and the rental place had called us and sent us messages like, hey, we tried to call you. Are you guys okay? They were actually worried about us. The same people who gave 2 license-free strangers with absolutely no experience a boat in worsening weather conditions, they were now concerned about us. So we both completely lost it laughing, like partly scared for our lives, but also thinking, what the hell are we doing here? What is the situation? And also remembering the first boat rental that refused to rent us a boat because clearly they were onto something. Clearly they were completely right. But eventually we made it back. The skipper jumped on deck to help us dock to the jetty. We finally got off with wobbly legs and still like in disbelief. So we sat down literally at the nearest beach bar closest to the jetty where we had gotten off and ordered a beer each. We just sat there for a second, still kind of shaky, honestly, because we were still pumped with adrenaline. We were just completely unable to believe that that just happened, because that morning, that day looked like it was going to be the most forgettable, and we ended up soaking wet, out of breath, burning abs from laughing and absolutely in disbelief, and it ended up being actually the most unforgettable day of the entire trip. I always want to bring something home from a trip, not like well, yes, actually I did get a fridge magnet, but not only a fridge magnet, something that actually inspires me and really reminds me of the feeling I had in that place. And Flo had this idea that I could take like a plant cutting, some local plant to bring back to my balcony in Barcelona. And I really love this idea because the whole plant cutting thing and growing my own plants is something that I've been really into lately. But then I realized I think it's probably illegal. I'm not 100% sure, but I'd rather not risk it, to be honest. But there was something else that had already caught my attention. One of our last dinners, we went to this local restaurant and I ordered a traditional pasta dish called pastitsada. I think that's how you pronounce it. And when they served it, we both thought, okay, what is that smell? It was really, really familiar. It was like a warm spice smell, the kind of thing that you really associate with Christmas. And I was confused the whole time I was eating it, but I was also really, really liking it. And at some point we figured it must have been allspice and maybe some other warm spices mixed in. And I realized there were other dishes that I also had that had this kind of spice mix in it. So actually it's a really traditional, specific spice mix that they have in Corfu. So my last day, I was walking through Corfu Town. Flo had already left by then because she took a flight to Germany, and I had like half of a day to myself. I found the exact spice mix for this dish in a little shop. And I got really excited for a moment because I realized I could take this home with me and actually make the dish myself. So the thing I was bringing home wasn't just the spice mix, it was also the knowledge of this whole flavor combination that I didn't even know existed before that pasta. Flying back home always does something to me. Every single time I see Barcelona from the plane, it still feels kind of crazy that I actually live there now. And I always feel this mix of grateful and also proud that I took that step and I made it work. Because I remember all the times I used to fly back to Germany, to Stuttgart or to Berlin, and it sounds so cliche, but a lot of times I would land in gray, rainy weather, going back to my normal life, or at least that's how I remember it. And now, most of the time, I'm landing in the sunshine, still going back to my normal life, of course, but going back to where I used to go on vacation. And honestly, my new life in Barcelona feels like the biggest gönnung of all because I'm letting myself enjoy the life that I wanted for so long and that I was able to create for myself. So to wrap it up, I think gönnen is actually something that I try to live by all the time. I just sometimes forget and need a reminder. And a vacation is a really good one because you're far away, you have no obligations, nowhere where you're supposed to be, and you can just gönn completely. And this trip was exactly that.
Kennst du mich nicht mehr? Kennst du mich gar nicht mehr? Juppie.
Thank you so much for watching this video. I had a lot of fun making it and I'm really happy I got to share this super special trip with you. If you enjoyed it, I would really appreciate a like, and also of course you can subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more. I'm going to upload more videos. Also, I'm genuinely curious, is there any similar word to gönnen in your native language? Because I already figured out that it can't really be translated into English like 100%. Something that really captures that idea of fully enjoying something, indulging in something without guilt. If there's something like that, let me know in the comments. I really want to know. I'm also going to put another video of mine here on the screen if you want to keep watching. And other than that, thank you so much and I will see you soon. Bye.